words of Babyface, this is for the lover in you. And you do have to have a certain genre of music and to be a certain age to really understand that reference. But hey, I am of a certain age and I am of that musical preference. Now, this is what I did, just a video on an intuitive exercise for anyone that you want to, anyone who's like-minded and open-minded, that you wanted to kind of feel a bit more connected to and also expand your intuition. This is purely for, as I said, the lovers in you. Now, there is no judgment whether they're your partner or not, as long as you've got two people that want to kind of, who are separated, because obviously we're in quarantine. A lot of us aren't with that person, the lover. So, you know, this is a good way of trying to connect to them. But also, let's not forget, sexuality is also very good. Sex is very good. So this is a very good exercise if you are, you want to kind of spice things up and you're of a distance. Because the one thing you'll discover if you do anything energetic to do with sex and sexuality is that it's really good for when people aren't here. Now, you can, you know, often when somebody is, you know, long distance relationships, one thing that you miss is the connection. And, you know, there's so many things you can say or have videos on, but actually that physical experience is something that, sorry about that, something that people really miss. So this is a really good opportunity to have fun with your partner, or multiple partners if you want to have multiple people on Zoom, then be my guest. Now, I'm going to say that first of all, you don't really want to do this initially on video. Like if you've watched the other video, you'll understand that I'm saying, because sometimes when we have the imagery there, we get fixated on the image. So what I would recommend is a couple of things. One thing I would recommend is the same thing as I said in the other video, set a time in the day that is your time. That as a couple, as more than a couple, you set a time where you go, actually at 7 o'clock each day, I'm going to spend this much time thinking about my lover. And you both do it at that same time. And the reason why I say the same time is energetically, it's really good to create that space and focus. It's good for us as humans because sometimes we get, you know, we need to have that time and we need to have something that says and be consistent with it. And then other times it's because of the energy. If you're working with energetically and that is that kind of time already set, it can build. There is that kind of, okay, this is that space, and you can build that energy up in that space. And I'm not talking about physical location. I'm talking about, it doesn't matter whether you're in your kitchen or your bedroom or your living room. It just matters really the time that you're giving that focus. It's a bit like any ritual. It's really for us to have that focus, and also for your partner. So your partner or partners would be thinking about you or having those sensations. So the first one is just to think about sensation. So the really good thing is to pick a time sexually that you had together that was really good. Right? Now you can mention that to each other if you want to. You can say, well, actually, I want to talk about that time we were in Paris, or, you know, that's what I'm going to think about later. It's quite good because it also builds it up, thinking about it in your head, and when you hit that moment where you're going to actually try and sit down, 7, 8, whatever time it is, then what you're aiming to do is trying to project that to the other person. And what you're aiming to do is project the feelings and the sensation. So really what you want to do is get into that zone where you start kind of not just thinking about it as a abstract thing, but remembering those sensations, those bodily ones. So it might take you a few minutes or 5-10 minutes sitting and going through a little bit of a meditation to get yourself into the space where you open up and you're able to, you know, not just see it outside of yourself, but actually remember what it smelled like and what it felt like, and the temperature and the feeling of their skin. Because what you're aiming to do is be able to take that kind of really, that the image is that's yours, and expand it so that instead of it being a kind of talking about something, you're actually able to sense the other person. So by you actually feeling that, then, and your partner doing the same thing, you can often connect on that shared experience and memory, because there is that already that connection with you guys. And then for two, it is the fact that you've got the shared memory that you're working with together. The aim is, and it will take a while, so don't get frustrated if it doesn't work, the aim is to feel that as a physical sensation, to feel that other person as a so initially the reason why I said try with something you already have is because it's easier. And then what you can do is you can start building up those fantasies, because I mean, I'm sure you're texting throughout the day. You can start, once you're kind of getting the feel of this, then you can start having kind of like having that conversation that you'd probably have normally, building up a picture. And then what you want to do is separately kind of start building up that into a 3D model, into a kind of a landscape. You know, when you think of when you're in a meditation, for example, and you're thinking about a calm, often they'll say think of a calm place. You don't want to think of it, you want to feel like you're there. You know, you want to, if it's a beach, you want to feel the sand between your toes and hear the ocean. That is exactly what you're looking for here. You want to build up. Think about reading a book and seeing the imagery in your head. This is what you're trying to build up. And then, so you do that each night, and then you share it, obviously. But the best thing about when you're starting for something new is what you're aiming to do is make it interactive, because that is when you're both communicating. That is when you have a telepathic link, is when you're both sending each other. So it stops being just, you know, we're thinking about these separately in our own world, is when it comes together and you're actually interacting, and it can feel physical. Now, obviously the person's not with you, but it can start to physical sensations, in the sense that, you know, when you build up to it, and this, we might have many weeks of quarantine, so it actually gives you an ample time to build this up, and use this in store for when you're, you know, working away and stuff like this. Is a really good tool. Because you want to start learning how to, you know, you want to be able to feel their hands on your skin, and all of those sensations. And you can do it. It just requires you both to be open enough and to practice it. So the reason why I said the same time, because it focuses you both on that. But then you can also share about how what your experiences are, how you felt, and what you're doing is you're building it up. There's no real, you know, there's no real spoilers on it. You don't need to kind of keep it to yourself. You can share it. The reason why I say don't do it on video is because when you have that image in front of you, then it can limit what you're thinking of. It's easier to do it separately, and then come together afterwards and discuss it, and discuss how it felt for you. Don't get frustrated if it doesn't work straight away. The other one is mutual masturbation. Now again, don't do this on video. Not that you can't do it on video and it'd be great, but from an energetic perspective it can limit you, because you're seeing the images, and therefore that's where you're creating your fantasy from. Whereas if you're doing it separately and you're doing it at the same time, what you're doing is you're creating a space to feel it energetically. And when you're masturbating, you want to think of the other person doing that to you. And so you're thinking about their hands touching you. And so if you continue to do it and then you can share it, you again build that up. But also we have the physicality of it, because it means you're doing something and you can feel yourself. So that often can help. And also it's a lot of fun. The worst case scenario is that you definitely won't be frustrated, I'll tell you that. But you know, these are really fun exercises. They're meant to be exercises that you can do together that strengthens the bond and has no pressure on it. So you know, who wouldn't go, actually at 9 o'clock, how about we do this separately and come back and talk about it? Because worst case scenario is you'll both be thinking about each other at that time, and that is always going to be good. So let me know how it goes, and I hope you enjoy this video.